Are you a sad individual living under a Parisian opera house and dropping chandeliers on people's heads for fun? Well, you may want to stop because that's a crime and get yourself a podcast. How do you do that? Easy. It's with Anchor. Anchor is a totally free app and website, and you can record from your phone or your computer. You don't need fancy smancy equipment. Seriously, I have recorded podcasts from my bathtub while I was bathing. Anchor is free and super easy to use. Anchor has really simple podcasting tools. You sign up and then you start podcasting. It really is that simple. Within an hour of starting my podcast, I was already distributed on Spotify. Now I'm on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Breaker, and Radio Public. So look for the app or the website. The website is anchor.fm, and the app, just go to your friendly local app store and look up Anchor. That's Anchor. Happy podcasting! Hello, my hoopy fruits, and welcome to the Kawaii Slutty Bartfast podcast. This is a podcast that discusses music, books, movies, TV shows, and pretty much whatever else I want to talk about because it's my podcast, and hey, I can do that. But thanks for listening, and have a hoopy day, and keep it fruity. Today on the podcast, we will be discussing The Secret of Terror Castle, the first book in a 3 investigator series by Robert Arthur, and if I remember correctly, Robert Arden. So we open this chapter with Jupiter outlining his plan to visit and spend the night at Terror Castle for the entire night. He and Pete are going to go in there, and they're going to bring a camera and a tape recorder, and kind of hoping, but not really hoping, that something spooky is going to happen. I mean, Jupiter's like all over that. He's like, yeah, I want the spooky shit. But Pete's like, I hope nothing happens. And they're going to leave poor Bob in the car with Worthington because of his leg brace. And poor Worthington, like, can you imagine, like, signing up to be a chauffeur and then, like, having some 13 or 14-year-old kid have you sit at night outside a possibly haunted house for, like, 6 hours? I mean, what if the poor dude wants to go home and eat some chicken nuggets? I mean, seriously, like, justice for Worthington, am I right? So they're driving along the road to Terror Castle, and they end up getting blocked in the road. So Worthington's like, hey, this should only be like a few hundred yards ahead, so it should actually be within walking distances. And Jupiter's like, cool. And they're gonna come back in an hour just to like get Bob, but they want to make sure that they can like get in. So he's just staying in the back, like, while they look and check to make sure that they're not gonna get busted for trespassing, because they are. I mean, even though like Alfred Hitchcock gave him the okay, it's still technically trespassing, especially like so late at night. But all I can think of is like how much easier it would be for them if they had cell phones and digital cameras, and how I'm grateful for technology. And anyway, it's a creepy journey. I mean, they're really nervous. They're talking about like how creeped out they are, and Pete's like, can we sing to like drown out potential noses? And drown out potential noses, good one, noises. And Jupiter's like, no, because we want to hear them and we want to record them. And I am very pretentious, and don't get me wrong, I like Jupiter as a character. I really do enjoy characters who get the best of people because they're grossly underestimated. But there's something about him that's very cult leaderish in these books. I've always thought, though, he's very much of like a Christy Davis from The Babysitters No, not Christy Davis. Christy Thomas. Sorry, I was close. Who is Christy Davis? Is there like a kids book character named Christy Davis? I don't know. Anyway, Christy Thomas, who like gets her friends to do like all kinds of inexplicable shit just because they want to make her happy. So, yeah. So they finally get to the courtyard of the castle and they're looking at it, and they hear like all kinds of creepy noises. Like they hear like a music song, a sound, and then they hear the pitter patter of little feet, and they're like horrified, and they're like about to die of panic, and it turns out that it's a jackrabbit. So Jupiter is very disappointed because he was seriously hoping for a murderous ghost, but no, it's just a bunny. And poor Pete's like, I want to sing to drown out the noise. And Jupiter's like, I want to hear the noise. And Pete's like, I do not want to hear the noise. That sounds like a terrible idea. Can we please stop this very bad plan? So there are bats in the castle, and they go out flying out horror movie style, and it's just such a cool mental image. Apparently in Germany there was a TV show of this, and there was like this big kerfuffle over copyright, but I would love to see like a series on this, just because the imagery is a lot of fun. So they actually get to the doorway of Terror Castle, and Jupiter just kind of waltzes forward to go through, and then Pete's like, well, I can't leave him to go there, and then they hear music again, and Jupiter's like, it's probably just your imagination, because, you know, people frequently imagine spooky music, and he's like, or maybe you heard a TV in the next canyon? What kind of TV would be that loud? That's so weird. And then Pete's like, well, what if it's the Blue Phantom playing the organ? And Jupiter's like, I really want to hear that, because he's all about the organs, haha. I don't know. He really wants to see this ghost. He's all about the ghost. And then they open the door, and like it hasn't been touched up or anything because it screeches like crazy. And then they open the door and they step just inside it. And then they hear a low and eerie voice whisper, leave.